I spent 19 months in GameFi. I saw the rise of coins in early 2021 and the crash in summer of 2021. During that crash, I was in Axie, and I rode that roller coaster all the way up and all the way back down. I found Illuvium, Fancy Birds, and a couple other projects. In some months along the way, I made a lot of money. But there were also a lot of months where I lost a lot of money. I want to break down these 19 months in GameFi, the highs, the lows, what I've learned, and what I'm going to take me into the future. And I hope the lessons I learned can help you navigate the future of GameFi. And I'll also talk quick about my plans for the future, so I don't make any of these same mistakes again. So I'm going to start with what led me to GameFi, and then I'm going to get into these 5 GameFi projects and the different lessons I learned from being involved in these 3. And after that, I'm going to give you my top 5 lessons that I learned in these 19 months, and I hope this can really help you navigate the space going forward. So in April 2020 is when I first came across Bitcoin, really not too long ago. I bought about $500 at that point, and then I had kind of forgot about it throughout the summer. Then in October, I started seeing, the price rise. My Bitcoin had more than doubled in price. So I started looking deeper into it, and that's when I started understanding it more. And I found Ethereum, and I started understanding smart contracts, and how all of that worked, which led me to get a lot more bullish. Between October 2020 and January 2021, I did a lot of buying of crypto, mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum, until I found GameFi, and I decided to spread my wings a little bit. And GameFi was what I came across in January 2021. And that is my 19 months that I'm talking about. From January 2021 to right now, it's just the beginning of August 2022. So Sandbox is the first game I came across. I had been searching as much as I could about the blockchain in Ethereum, and I came across this one interview, I don't even remember who it was, on YouTube, and they were just talking about what the blockchain can do for games. And I heard one of them talk about how you might have a sword in one game and you could take that with you to another game. And hearing that just put like a light bulb in my head. It was something I had never thought about before, and I just knew I needed to look deeper into it. I had always liked playing games, but I hadn't played much in years leading up to this. But I was really interested, so I looked deeper into it. And that's when I found the Sandbox. And I decided I'm going to take a stab at this, and I'm going to buy some of the Sand token. So that was actually my introduction to MetaMask, because at the time you couldn't get Sand on any major exchanges. So I downloaded a MetaMask, saved my seed phrase, and I went to buy some Sand. So this was more of my introduction really into crypto, in the blockchain, in doing real crypto transactions. But I had actually talked to my brother about this. We were looking into the Sandbox, and we saw that they had a land sale coming up. And we wanted to buy a plot of land. I convinced him this is something that we needed to do. So we bought enough sand for that plot of land when sand was at 8 cents. And we really only needed about, I think it was $450 to get enough sand for that plot of land, which is crazy now because a plot of land in the Sandbox is pretty expensive. So when the land sale came, I linked the wallet, but to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know if I couldn't link it the right way. Maybe I didn't have enough Ethereum for a gas fee, or maybe every plot I picked just got bought up before I was able to put it through. But we actually didn't end up getting the land. But we decided we'll just sit on the coins for now and see what happens. And then soon our $450 doubled to almost $1,000. And then before we knew it, we had 10x our coins, and our $450 turned into well over $4,000. And a couple of the screenshots along the way. And this purchase of the Sand token is actually what really kickstarted things for me in crypto. Because I didn't have a ton of money going into this, but now I had play money. I could speculate on different things, invest into things, and spend some money that I didn't have before. It really felt like magic internet money. And when we got that 10x in Sand, that's actually when we decided to take our first little profit. And I'll talk about this a little more in a later slide, but we took a little bit of profit to buy some ILV, the coin for Alluvium. And as the coin kept going up, we started taking more and more profits until one day I woke up and I saw the price had jumped pretty significant. And I remember just laying in my bed being like, I need to take advantage of this. And throughout that morning, I think I sold 3 times, which ended up closing out our position in Sand. And this was before I realized why it was pumping, which was because Facebook decided to change their brand to Meta. And you can see in this top right corner was just one of the last sales I made. I don't think it was the exact one. I think I ended up making a last sale around $1.55. And as awesome as that felt at the time, like we sold at about an 18x of our initial investment, but it just kept going up and up from there. So you can see we took our first profit at about a 10x to buy some ILV for Illuvium. We ended up probably averaging about a 15x return on our initial investment, but sand ended up going up to $8. So we missed out on a potential 100x. And you always hear about what's the next 100x coin. You know, we had it right there and we missed out on getting there. So a couple of things I learned from this is that I didn't find the Sandbox on YouTube. No one seemed to be talking about it. I just found the concept of NFT gaming, and then I did my research to find the Sandbox. I found it and bought the coin before anyone was talking about it. So what that taught me is that if you really want to find those big, like, life-changing opportunities, you really have to do some research and find them yourselves. By the time people are talking about it on YouTube, it's probably too late. And Sand was really a life-changing moment for me. It showed me just what crypto could do and what NFT gaming can do. And like I mentioned before, the return I made from this one investment was really what allowed me to push through GameFi and really compound everything I was doing. So the next game I found was Axie Infinity. And again, this is before anyone was talking about it. You can see right here, I have in a spreadsheet that I wrote, I bought my first 3 Axies to play the game on March 7th, 2021. This is before the Ronin network, so I actually had to buy it on the Ethereum network. There was a small gas fee. I think it ended up costing me about $150 for each Axie. So in total, it was under $500 to start this game. And I actually remember sitting at a table with my brother and some friends being like, hey, we should all get in on this and see what happens. And they all said no. They didn't want it, but I already had it in my head that NFT gaming was going to be something big. So I took a stab at it. And then as I was getting into it, I was like, I want to get more breeding and I want to just start accumulating and compounding everything I have. So I remember I bought 100 AXS at 4.5. And if you remember, AXS went up to about 140 or 150, maybe even $160. The real sad part about it, I didn't sell any AXS. I used every one of them that I bought to breed more Axies. And for a while, that seemed like a smart move. You can see from this picture, this was a 2-week payout that I had to one of my scholars. This was the game that really showed me the concept of scholars, and you can see just how profitable it was for them. This is a 2-week payout, and this is a scholar in the Philippines who made $446 in that 2 weeks. And that's quite a bit of money for where they are. And seeing that is really what opened my eyes to NFT gaming and GameFi, as a business. How to run it as a business. So I just started accumulating more, adding scholars, taking a percentage from me, and treating it like a business. And I started realizing this is more than just a business. This is helping people. You can see in this screenshot here, one of my scholars just said, thank you for this opportunity. It's been a super big help, and now I can buy some groceries for the house. And saying how it was such a big help to him and his family. And I was realizing a lot of these people in the Philippines didn't have an opportunity to work anywhere. And they were turning to things like this just to put food on the table. And I have some more screenshots here just to show you how crazy it was back in that summer 2021 when Axie was really blowing up. I really appreciate you watching this, and I hope you're really getting something out of this. Again, 19 months in crypto is a pretty short time, but 19 months in GameFi I actually feel like is pretty significant time. So please do me a favor, give it a like, and if you're not subscribed already, do that as well. This is a screenshot just from a group chat that I was in with some of my buddies. And I said, right now you could just buy an Axie egg from the market for 0.08 ETH. And then once it hatches, sell it for 0.12 ETH right away. In 5 days, that's like a 50% return, which is already pretty wild. And then you can see from over here on my spreadsheet, in July 1st, 2021, I bought 2 eggs. That cost me about 0.09 each. And then just look down a little further. It takes 5 days for them to hatch. On July 7th, I sold those 2 eggs for almost double. I can't remember exactly the price of Ethereum at the time, but I doubled my Ethereum in 5 days. And things just kept, getting wilder. SLP went up to almost 35 cents. You can see a couple screenshots over here. I sold an Axie for 0.23 Ethereum. I sold another one for 0.27 Ethereum. And this was really a crazy time. I was bringing in a lot of money. And at the time, I really thought this would just last forever. I was telling friends I was going to quit my job, and this was going to be it. And then, as you all know, Axie took a turn and prices went down. There was a big lesson I learned here, which is take profits, because I left a lot of money on the table. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars on the table because I just kept reinvesting what I had. I did take some profits, so I ended up in the green. But if I played this smart, I could have added $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to my portfolio. But again, this is just another lesson learned, and I feel like I needed to go through this in my GameFi journey. Next, we have Illuvium. Now, back in spring 2021, I had already gotten into sand. I had just started playing Axie, and I was digging deeper and deeper into this NFT gaming. I came across the first trailer for Illuvium. Immediately after watching that trailer, I knew if this was going to be a real project and in a real game, I wanted in on it. I had saw that they had their ICO coming up for ILV, and this is when I actually talked to my brother because we were in sand. We took a little bit of profit from sand, and we ended up buying 5 coins, 5 ILV in the ICO for $78. And I know now that doesn't seem like very much, but this is still in the time where we didn't have a ton of money. We were speculating on these different things, and we said, yeah, okay, let's get 5 coins and see what happens. And as most of you know, ILV shot up from $78 to a high of $1,900 or around there. And I will say that we didn't take any profit. And I had bought more throughout the way, and even to this day, I've never sold any of my ILV. What I actually did was I put it into the staking protocol. I ended up learning about the sushi liquidity pool. So I took some of the ETH that I had, I put it together with the ILV, and I staked it in the protocol. When I initially staked it, it was returning close to 700%. So even though I never sold any ILV, I never took any profits on it, I was still accumulating more and more ILV as I went on. To this day, I have about 3 times more ILV than I ever purchased myself just through the staking. And as I get learning more and more about the game, I decided this is going to be the project I really want to go all in on. So I started up a YouTube channel. I just put something together, didn't think too much of it, and then I threw it up there. And then I decided, I'm going to keep doing this every week. So I was putting up 1 or 2 videos a week, and I was actually starting to get some, recognition in the community. And this is when I decided to look into some guilds. I actually found a guild called Shiny Shards. I'm not involved with them anymore, but that was a stepping stone in my journey. It showed me what a guild was like and, the smaller communities you can build around a game like this. And from being in there, they actually convinced me that I needed to get a Twitter and get involved in Twitter because there was a lot going on Twitter and I didn't know about that. So when Kieran put out this post about he wanted to give some ETH lizards to content creators. So over at Shiny Shards, they told me about it. I went over to Twitter, commented on this post, and I ended up getting an ETH lizard from Kieran. And on top of that, just a shout out to TSG, another Alluvium YouTuber, or one of the first community members from Alluvium to really reach out to me, and he actually gave me an ETH lizard early on. And I told him this multiple times, but TSG, if you're listening, I'm still going to be working on getting you that Ramfire. And through my YouTube and being involved in the community, I kept finding more and more opportunities. One day, Grant gave me a call on Discord, and I played a couple rounds of the private beta with him. I have a couple videos on my YouTube from that call, but that was just pretty cool for me. Like, I had one of the founders from Alluvium give me an ETH lizard, and then I had another one call me on Discord, and I just started getting more and more opportunities. JP from Arcade to Earn reached out to me, and I had talked to him about a few things, and that's just been another good relationship I found from getting out there on my YouTube and with Alluvium. And the more and more time that went on, the more I liked how Alluvium worked. I liked the tokenomics, I liked the community, I liked everything about it. So I just decided to put more and more in. There was a land sale. I ended up buying these 4 plots of land, and this was quite a bit of money for me. But I'm so confident in this project that I was willing to put more and more into it. And the real lesson I learned from Alluvium is that community drives all of this. Now, yes, this is going to be a great game, but it's not even out yet. And really what keeps Alluvium going is the community. The other YouTubers, the Discord, the founders that will actually respond to what the community members say. To this day, Alluvium is my biggest bet, and I'm really looking forward to where they're going to go. Now, this is just going to be a quick one. A game called Warina. Now, no one really knows about this. I was drawn into this because of this right here. There was a called partnership with Alluvium. And I was so big on Alluvium that I was like, ooh, a partnership let me see what this game's about. And then I looked at their roadmap, and they had talked about, cross-chain gaming, being able to use NFTs from Axie and Illuvium in their game. And I just thought that was really cool. At the time, GameFi was being hyped up, and I thought, this is going to be something I speculate on before anyone else hears about it. So I bought a few of these NFTs. I started playing, and I really just realized it wasn't that fun. And I think I was smart enough at that point to realize I just needed to take my profits quick, because who knows what was going to happen here. And you can see on the right, at the bottom, I took profits right away for the first few months until I broke even. And by that point, the coin had dropped so much that I just stopped playing. The lesson I learned here is that there are going to be a lot of games that pop up that have really cool roadmaps. Say they're partnered with other big games and other big projects, but you're going to realize that a lot of these games don't have much depth to them and are destined to fail. And to be fair, I wouldn't call this game a failure yet. I think they're still building. Who knows what they'll have for the next bull market. But it was just a play that I was happy that I made my money back before the coin dropped off the map. And then I got into Fancy Birds. Alluvium was and still is my number one project, and that's more long-term. To be fair, Fancy Birds is still more long-term for me, but it was something that I could play and get more involved in right away while I waited for Illuvium to come out. So a shout out to Scorioaks on YouTube, because I actually was introduced to Fancy Birds through one of his videos. The tokenomics were very similar to ILV. Kieran was an advisor for them, and I thought this might be a really good secondary project for me to be involved in next to Illuvium. So I got in their Discord, chatting up with the community. They had contests all the time for whitelist spots. And you can see one of the competitions was just to make like a meme from Fancy Birds. I put this together quick because the Olympics were going on at the time, and I ended up earning 2 whitelist spots from it. And Scorioaks was actually able to transfer me 1 whitelist spot. I ended up being able to mint 3 of the Genesis birds to get started. And to be honest with you, if I didn't end up minting those birds, I probably would have just not got involved at all, because the price had spiked really quickly after the mint. But fortunately, I was able to get in. And I really just started playing at first. The lending program wasn't out for the game yet. So I just kept playing, and I realized, this game could be addicting. It didn't have too much depth to it, like I believe Illuvium will. But I saw some potential here. And then when the lending program did start up, it started feeling like Axie. I started getting messages from a lot of people who used to be scholars in Axie, asking about scholarships in Fancy Birds. And this is when I decided to make a Discord server. I called it GameFi Contact, and I really did it just to build up a little community of managers and scholars for all games, but it really took off with Fancy Birds. Now, for these scholars, I started out right away, and I'm continuing to only pay out 30%. And a lot of people look at that and say that's low, but this is because of my lesson learned from Axie Infinity. Scholars in these games take very little risk. They play when they want, and if they decide they don't want to play anymore, or the coin has just gone down, they can just stop playing risk-free. So you start to realize when you're investing in this as a manager, you're taking on all of the risk. So after going on that roller coaster with Axie, I knew I needed to start off with a lower percentage, because who knows what was going to happen to Fancy Birds. It could drop off again, I could lose my investment, and the scholars still did all right making their money along the way. And this led me to an opportunity with Banana DAO. I had talked to the founders of Banana DAO about Fancy Birds and what I was doing with it, and this really spiked their interest. So they decided to make an investment in Fancy Birds and wanted me to run their program. So I had my own personal birds, then I had the Banana DAO birds, and all of a sudden I had a ton of scholarships to give out. And this is something that's still ongoing, and I continue to breed more birds and provide scholarships. And again, it feels like Axie. And it's leading to more opportunities. Now I'm a member of the Flock channel on their Discord, and I was able to play test their second game for the Fancy Game Studio, which you can see in a screenshot right here. And up until this point, I'm doing what I did with Axie, where I'm reinvesting everything I get. But the big difference here is that I was doing that with Axie in a bull market when things were just going straight up. And here I'm doing it in a bear market. Things have been going down and they've been low for a little while. So I think it is smarter to keep reinvesting now until that next bull market comes. So from these 19 months in GameFi, these are my top 5 lessons learned. So one is finding these projects before they go mainstream on crypto YouTube. in really doing your research to find these projects. Because all of the projects that I've gotten into and have been successful and profited from are these projects that I got into before anybody else was talking about it. I found Alluvium before their ICO. I found the Sandbox when sand was only 8 cents. When I got into Axie Infinity, there was less than 30,000 players, and it spiked up to over 2 million, I believe, at one point. So really finding these projects before they're talked about is very important. So 2, the play-to-earn model is unsustainable in itself. So when you're looking for these new games, if their focus is on play-to-earn, then at this point, I'm really looking away from those games. I'm trying to find games that I think would excel as a Web 2 game. And for example, Illuvium. I think if Illuvium had nothing to do with the blockchain or crypto, I believe that game would still be successful, which is why I'm so bullish on it. And the fact that it's backed by the blockchain and is in the NFT crypto realm makes me even more bullish on it. So 3, get involved in the community and provide value, especially while we're going through this bear market. If I didn't start up my YouTube and get in the Discords to really talk to people and just make different connections, then I'd be in a completely different place right now. And when you make these connections with other community members in the bear market, these are the people who are going to be with you during the bull market. And number 4 is only invest what you can afford to lose. And I know people say that all the time, and I know you've heard it before, but it really is true. And to take profits early and often and expect a crash. Now, like I said, during that Axie summer, when things were going up, I didn't know any better. I thought it was just going to go up forever. If I had taken more profits early and often and expected the crash, I could have made out so much better than I did. So that's how I'm treating, new projects that I get into. I'll make an investment, but I'm going to try to take those profits early and often to try to at least make my money back. And I'm always going to expect a crash to come. And it might not come right away. It might not come in the next couple months, but I'm always going to expect it to come. And that's what's going to keep me honest. In number 5, it is still very early in GameFi. There have been growing pains, and there's going to be more growing pains. But what I've learned is that GameFi is here to stay, so don't give up on it, because it will be the future of gaming. So that was it. I learned a lot over these 19 months. The highs were really high, the lows were really low, but now I know what to do in the future, in the next bull run, and what I'm going to do in this bear market until we get to that bull run. So let me know if you've made any of these same mistakes or capitalized on something that I missed out on and what you plan on doing in the future. Just let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.